What is the president's message to members of Congress who seem to be equating the Hamas terror attack with actions that were previously taken by Israel?
Say that one more time. Everybody's moving around. I apologize.
What is the president's message to members of Congress who seem to be equating the Hamas terror attack with actions that were previously taken by Israel?
Look, here's the thing, and which congressional members?
Well, there have been some members of Congress who have called for a ceasefire, and they have not gone as far as backing the administration's call for support for Israel.
So look, I've seen some of those statements this weekend, and we're going to continue to be very clear. We believe they're wrong. We believe they're repugnant, and we believe they're disgraceful. Our condemnation belongs squarely with terrorists who have brutally murdered, raped, kidnapped hundreds of Israelis. There can be no equivocation about that. There are not two sides.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So I never really believed that I would ever see it, and I still don't exactly know what to think, if I'm being honest. But the White House of Joe Biden has actually come out swinging and is absolutely crushing the blatantly anti-Semitic Democrats that basically set the tone for his own party. And honestly, there's no way, honestly, that they got this from any kind of focus group polling or anything like that. They're not doing this for politics, I wouldn't think. It almost feels like they're actually doing it because it's the right thing to do, which is even more hard to believe. But before I show it, guys, thanks to everyone that's been subscribing and leaving such great comments. We're building an awesome community together, and it's a lot of fun, guys. If you haven't already, join us. Help us to continue to grow. Like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. So anyway, if there is a silver lining in any of this, it's that the left is completely imploding onto itself. As they get completely divided, and they can't actually agree on whether or not they're condemning or supporting terrorists. I never thought this could happen. I knew that we were getting crazy, but this is just too much. You know, this is exactly the sort of thing that we're seeing of Democrat factions all over the country. Take a look at this.
Yourself, right? As you said, this is a pro-Palestinian rally, which is marching through the heart of downtown Chicago right now. We are at Madison and Clark. For those who know Chicago, that means they are shutting a huge thoroughfare in this city down. And to kind of speak to the message here more, you can hear the chanting in the background. We've got blocks of people here. This started at the Israeli consulate. So this is a pro-Palestine rally that began.
So here's the thing that's really going on within the left. You know, the left has coddled and created these insane young socialists and allowed them to think that literally anything and everything goes, just as long as it doesn't involve actually loving or accepting America as she is. You know, they've brought this upon themselves. They really have. You know, they've trained these people to think that it's okay to support terrorists. They've allowed these people to believe that it's okay, it's acceptable within the party to be anti-Semitic. And, you know, it's easy to understand why they think this. You know, just look at the statements that actually come out from sitting Congress people. They don't try to educate or even understand the long historical context of everything that's happening over there. They don't talk about the fact that that region hasn't seen peace in over 1,000 years. No, most of them are just outright bigoted and anti-Semitic themselves. So, you know, even AOC herself has had to come out and start to try and distance herself from the Democratic Socialists of America New York chapter, the exact people that actually got her elected. And it's not just her. You know, both sides of the aisle are having to answer for the absolute insanity that they harbor in their building at work.
Mr. Leader, should Rashida Tlaib still have the Palestinian flag up?
This is America. You're allowed to wear the flag that you prefer.
I think she has every right to have that Palestinian flag.
I'm not going to comment on Rashida. She's a great friend of mine.
She's Palestinian. You know, that doesn't mean she's a terrorist. It doesn't mean that she condones this.
This was a gross attack on human life. It was reprehensible, and we want justice and we want peace.
The Biden administration says that $6 billion can be frozen. Do you think it should be frozen?
No comment.
Speaker Pelosi, should we freeze that $6 billion? The Biden administration said we have the ability to do that.
Well, I haven't heard that. You just tell me.
Should we do that? Mr. Clyburn, should that $6 billion be frozen?
So yeah, I mean, what do we expect? These freaking ghouls, they can't even answer a simple question. You know, should we refreeze the money that is currently on its way to a nation that is literally celebrating Israeli murder. It's amazing. Call your Congress people, guys. They have got to freeze that money. But in the meantime, the destruction within the Democratic Party continues as MSNBC actually invites the leader of the American Defamation League onto their airwaves. I wasn't sure what was going to happen after he started the day by literally refusing to rebuke the leaders of BLM who are openly cheering and supporting Hamas. But take a look at what he's got to say.
It was like an atomic bomb. And as 40,000 people were killed in Japan when they dropped that bomb in Nagasaki, so too were the hundreds upon hundreds of people who were killed in Israel. And so while I am sad and trying to cope, I'll be honest, I am angry. I am angry with the world that allowed the dehumanization of Israelis and sanitized the terrorism of Hamas. I must say, I love this show and I love this network, but I've got to ask, who is writing the scripts? Hamas? The people who did this, they are not fighters, Jonathan. They are not militants, and I'm looking right at the camera. They are terrorists. It is a barbarian who rapes and brutalizes women, who kills children in front of their parents. So look, when we say, oh, this was an escalation, it was bound to happen, I am sorry. This was a massacre that was pre-planned. This was not destined to happen. It is not normal to shoot teenagers in the back, hundreds of them. So I just think, guys, get the story right. And all these pictures of missiles or the rubble in Gaza, please talk to the Israeli mothers and fathers who lost their children. Talk to the grandchildren whose grandparents were seized as hostages. And please stop calling this a retaliation. This is a defensive measure against an organization that is committed to one thing: killing Jews. Not a peaceful resolution of a conflict, but murdering.
So yeah, man, it's just insane to me that anyone could support or refuse to condemn a terrorist attack on anyone who is innocent, regardless of who they are. I mean, it's just crazy to me. I just don't fully understand it, which leads me to the best part. So everybody's favorite diversity hire, Karine Jean-Pierre, was asked about some of the really insane statements that came from her party after the terrorist attacks in Israel. And here's the thing, there was zero statement of support for Israel coming from the squad. Most of these statements, they not only tried to blame the victim, which is Israel, they tried to victim shame Israel, but, they were also, I think, meant to, intimate that Israel has been doing the exact same thing to the Palestinian people, which is not true. But this is what they were trying to convey to their mushy brain followers. They also were immediately calling for a ceasefire and a de-escalation, something they never even dream of even accidentally saying about Ukraine. But, apparently Israel, when you're Israel, you're just supposed to take your licks and don't do a thing about it. Because after all, it's your fault that bad things happen to you anyway, is the message that they're sending. So, you and me, we called that out immediately. And anyone with any kind of sense should call it out. I can't imagine that anyone expected the White House to comment on it, but they actually, to their credit, they came out pretty strong and calling these squad members repugnant and disgraceful, which is about time. I mean, it's amazing that it took this. This actually tells me that, our country, even with our weak leadership, we are serious about standing with Israel, which I have been worried about. Honestly, let me know in the comments if you have been as well. I've actually never said this before. I've never even thought this before, but let's take a look at what a great job Karine Jean-Pierre does here.
Everybody's moving on. I apologize.
What is the president's message to members of Congress who seem to be equating the Hamas terror attack with actions that were previously taken by Israel?
Look, here's the thing, and which congressional members?
Well, there have been some members of Congress who have called for a ceasefire, and they have not gone as far as backing the administration's call for support for Israel.
So look, I've seen some of those statements this weekend, and we're going to continue to be very clear. We believe they're wrong. We believe they're repugnant, and we believe they're disgraceful. Our our condemnation belongs squarely with terrorists who have brutally murdered, raped, kidnapped hundreds of Israelis. There can be no equivocation about that. There are not two sides here. There are not two sides. President Biden has been clear on where he has stood. You heard from him directly today. You heard from him also on Saturday on this. There's been multiple statements from this president, and he's taking action to provide additional support to ensure that Israel has what they need to defend themselves. All right.
Wow. So I like that, man. That's pretty strong. You know, I like what she said there. There are not two sides here. That's probably the very best thing that I've ever seen or heard her say. You know, it's definitely the most true thing that she's ever said. That is without a doubt for sure. Because honestly, guys, what we've seen from these people in Congress and from their supporters protesting literally all over the United States and the world, you know, people waving the Palestinian flag, calling for the destruction of Israel in our streets, man. You know, not even just a few years ago, this would only be seen in places like Tehran. You know, now we have it in New York City. Guys, this has got to wake people up, you know, in our selfish, egotistical need to be tolerant and to virtue signal. We have literally awoken anti-American forces within our own government and within our own people, you know. And because we've basically neutered ourselves, you know, so successfully, most of us are afraid to even question it within even our own minds, let alone question it or counter it with actual words or actions. You know, it's crazy. Not even Orwell or Huxley would have seen this coming. But anyway, I thought you guys would appreciate seeing something good from KGP for a while, or for once, you know. That is just my take. Let me know yours in the comments, guys. If you haven't already, please join us. Like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. We'll see you in the next one.